We've seen over the last few days how the protests have continued surrounding the tragic death of George Floyd. And we saw at the weekend the football community getting involved as well. In the Bundesliga, a number of players showing off T-shirts and armbands paying tribute to George Floyd. FIFA made a statement about that today. This is what they came out and said. FIFA fully understands the depth of sentiment and concerns expressed by many footballers in light of the tragic circumstances of the George Floyd case. The application of the laws of the game is left for the competition's organisers, which should use common sense and have in consideration the context surrounding the events. Now, Weston McKennie, as we mentioned, was one of the players who protested at the weekend. Interesting stuff from him speaking to Forbes, saying, I'm not taking it off. There's a rule in the league that you can't make political statements, but I mean, if you really, really look at this as a political statement, then I don't know what to tell you. The league and everyone in soccer always preaches say no to racism, so I didn't think that there would be a problem. If I have to take the consequences to express my opinion, to express my feelings, to stand up for what I believe in, then that's something I have to do. Well, let's welcome to the show, shall we, Ali Moreno and Shaka Hislop. Shaka, let's start with you. That statement from FIFA, strong enough?
No, it's not. Listen, it's a start, but in terms of the strength of message that you would hope or expect from FIFA, the type of leadership that you would hope for or expect from FIFA, it falls desperately short. And listen, I've been on here a couple of days ago and was critical of Infantino and the fact that he disbanded the FIFA task force against racism and discrimination. Listen, you can point at that and question its own effectiveness. That body had only met 3 times in the 3 years leading up to Infantino dissolving it, but nothing was put in its place. And here again, what you see, or what you heard from Infantino about that fighting discrimination and racism was everybody's role. You see mirrored in this statement, that we're against it, but I hope you all are also against it and use your common sense, and we're leaving this all to you. It's a start, but it falls woefully short of leadership. It falls woefully short of what you'd expect of a global body that can dictate the discussion and the direction in a way that only FIFA can.
It's not exactly a definitive statement, is it, Ali?
No, it really is just a start, and barely a start by FIFA. It's a lack of understanding that as a governing body, you have a higher responsibility, and carrying out that responsibility then shows an example to everybody else. But when you sort of wash your hands and say, you know what, this is up to the local FA to determine as to whether players can do this or can't do that. That, to me, as Shaka says, woefully short. But I honestly, it's barely a start. They barely got off the blocks here. It's almost as if, well, we have to put something out, and let's make sure that it's empathetic, and let's make sure that we communicate how deeply sorry we are about the situation. But let's not commit ourselves to truly taking on the responsibility of being the governing body for the game, which is what FIFA is around the world, the governing body for the game. So they oversee everybody. And so there should be a far more responsible approach to it and say, you know what, this is what we're doing, this is the plan, and this is what we'd like our leagues to do, and this is what we'd like local tournaments to take place and local competitions to take place, and this is how we think that it should be done. Yep. But there's no direction here, there's no leadership here, and it makes it very difficult for us to kind of look at it and say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't they be doing more?
On that point, Shaka, what should they do?
Listen, they can quite easily make a statement, and without going a whole lot further into depth and criticism of FIFA and their lack of kind of impetus towards this, a statement simply saying that equality of races is one of the founding and foundation tenets of not just their own calls to end racism, but in fair play. That is a flag that's flown before every single every single FIFA approved game. That's just at its simplest and its most basic, and that's just me sitting here. This is not what you'd expect of a global body with the financial clout of FIFA, who can hire lawyers and hire PR consultants and really sit down and craft not just a statement, but a way forward in how FIFA and all the member associations are to deal with issues of racism wherever they may happen. But as we've seen in the past, and we've been critical of them, FIFA hand out heftier fines for financial fair play than they do for racism. FIFA right now have hired a Queen's Counsel to argue a case against the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, yet still have somehow managed to put together a statement like this, with a global impact like this, on the cheap. It doesn't add up, and it more speaks to their own focuses and what's important to them than it does to the issue.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.